He's coming. He's just right down the hall. Miss Brenda, can you get that one?
Yeah.
Where's his got?
Oh, we're actually on YouTube now.
Mhm. I try to keep, I'm still trying to keep the courtroom closed. All right, everyone, please be seated. I hope everyone was able to find a decent parking space. All right, so I know you all were given the oath downstairs, but now I need to give you the oath that for this particular case. So if everyone could please raise their right hand for me. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm in the case of the state of Texas versus Mr. Williams, you will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. State. And Mr. Williams and Mr. Charette.
True bill of indictment. In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Bexar County, state of Texas, duly organized, impaneled, and sworn as such at the May term AD 2022 in the 186th Judicial District Court of said county, in said court at said term, do present in and to said court that in the county and state aforesaid and anterior to the presentment of this indictment, count one, on or about the 25th day of May 2019, Kenneth Williams, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did use and exhibit a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, and defendant did intentionally, knowingly, and recklessly threaten imminent bodily injury to Martin Garcia, hereinafter referred to as complainant, by shooting at and in the direction of the complainant with said deadly weapon. Count two, on or about the 25th day of May 2019, Kenneth Williams, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did use and exhibit a deadly weapon, namely a motor vehicle, that in the manner of its use and intended use was capable of causing death and serious bodily injury, and defendant did intentionally and knowingly threaten imminent bodily injury to Martin Garcia, hereinafter referred to as complainant, by driving said deadly weapon at and in the direction of the complainant. Count three, on or about the 25th day of May 2019, Kenneth Williams, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did use and exhibit a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, and defendant did intentionally and knowingly threaten imminent bodily injury to Muhammad Al-Qassam, hereinafter referred to as complainant, by shooting at and in the direction of the complainant with said deadly weapon. Count four, on or about the 25th day of May 2019, Kenneth Williams, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did knowingly discharge a firearm at and in the direction of individuals, namely Martin Garcia and Muhammad Al-Qassam, against the peace and dignity of the state. Signed the foreman of the grand jury.
All right, Mr. Williams, to those counts, how do you plead?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. State, do you have an opening statement?
Yes, Judge.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. That's how many rounds of deadly fire that the defendant Kenneth Williams fired at Martin Garcia and in turn Muhammad on May 25th, 2019. And that's just the first set of fire that he unleashed. You're going to hear that this took place at Nolan Express Mart. It's over about 2 minutes from here at the corner of North Broncos and Nolan Street. Specific address 627 Broncos. And hear that on that day, 3 years ago, Muhammad was an employee there. Another employee there was Brittany. Kenneth and the victim, one of the victims, Martin. Brittany was a common love interest of them. So this would cause issues between them. You're going to hear and you're going to see evidence that on this day, May 25th, 2019, that Muhammad was working, that Kenneth showed up. He would show up there alive with the defendant because Brittany worked there. And so Muhammad was familiar with him. That Martin was there because he was there to pick up something. And Martin and the defendant get into an argument, a verbal argument. Now Martin, he doesn't come into this as Martin is the one who escalates things. He turns it from verbal to physical. And you're going to see in the video that he punches the defendant first and sort of goes after him. You're going to see in another video that at one point the defendant gets in the vehicle. The victim, Martin, is in front of the vehicle, and the defendant tries to run him over. And as Martin moves out of the way, the defendant goes and tries to run him over. He actually ends up sideswiping the vehicle. You're going to hear and see evidence that that should have been there. Martin was in the wrong. The defendant did what he did. Wrong for him to try to hit him with the vehicle, but that should have been the end of it. You hear testimony, you see evidence, and about 5 or 6 minutes later, the defendant comes back. Martin's inside this door. Muhammad, you feel like the defendant's gonna come back. Martin's looking out the door. He sees the defendant pull up and run towards the store. He sees that he has a gun in his hand. Initially, he's trying to hold the door shut, and then once he realizes he has a gun, he starts to run to the back of the store. And it's a little corner store, it's a small store. Muhammad is there as a cashier, and there's another customer there named Mr. Smiler. Who's the father nearby. So when the defendant runs in, he starts unleashing rounds, 5 shots at least. Martin runs to the back where there's the bathroom, passing by Martin and Mr. Smiler. All 3 of these people ran in direct line of fire. Muhammad ducks down. Martin goes to the bathroom. The defendant fires the first 5 or 6 shots. He turns, fires 2 shots outside. He hits Martin's vehicle. And then he turns back in again and fires another 5 or 6 shots. He's still not done. You're going to hear and see evidence that after that, the defendant finally walks out. He starts walking towards the vehicle. And then he decides, no, I need to try to finish it. So he runs back in, goes further into the store, and he fires a few more shots, 2 to 3. By that point, he had probably emptied his clip, and so he takes off and flees from the scene. You're going to hear and see evidence from a few different witnesses. Now, unfortunately, it's been 3 years. You're not going to hear from Mark Garcia. You don't have Mark Garcia. But you're going to hear from Muhammad. He was there that day. He can identify everyone in the video and identify everyone in the video. That's the central test for the case. He's going to testify about what he saw that day. He's going to give you some background information, and he's going to bring in the video so that y'all can see what happened. You're going to hear from Detective Porter, who's now Sergeant Porter. He was called out to the scene. He was the follow-up detective. He's going to testify about the work that he did in order to identify Kenneth Williams, the defendant, by his proper name. And then lastly, you're going to hear from Rolando Pettis. He's a CSI. And he's just going to provide you a little bit more evidence as far as pictures and the evidence that you collected at the scene. So at the end of this trial, after we've proven our case through those witnesses, proven all the elements, we're going to ask that you hold Mr. Williams accountable for his actions. Thank you.
Defense?
I'll reserve opening, Judge.
All right, State, call your first witness.
State calls Muhammad Alkasim.
All right, you'll take a seat here, please. Can you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you could have a seat, lower your hand and state your name. All right, thank you. State.
Thank you, Judge. Muhammad, I have some questions for you. Actually, can you spell your name for the record?
It's Muhammad Hammad Al-Qasim Alquassam.
And Muhammad, do you live here in San Antonio?
Yes.
How are you currently employed?
I work for Amazon
How long have you worked for Amazon?
almost 2 years.
Prior to working for Amazon, where did you work? Located?
It's on North in Martha Street, 76 North.
Is that here in Bear County?
Yeah.
Back on May 25th of 2019, were you working at the Nolan Express? Working when a shooting occurred at that location?
Yes.
I guess that's sort of some background information. Who else worked at Nolan Express, Mark, if you remember?
There was a girl called Brittany.
Brittany, okay. And do you remember if Brittany was in a relationship with anyone?
Judge, I'm going to object to the leading.
Sustained.
Are you aware of whether or not Brittany was in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay. Who was Brittany in a relationship with?
I was like complicated. She was with a guy, his name Martin. That's what she was telling me.
Okay.
She was also with Kenneth.
And Kenneth, do you see the guy that she was in a relationship with present here in the courtroom today?
Kenneth, yeah.
Okay, can you point to him and identify an article of clothes? What color shirt is he wearing?
Now,
Yes.
with that,
Fletcher. And the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant as Kenneth. So she was in a relationship with Martin and Kenneth, a complicated relationship. You said.
I mean, sometimes with Kenneth, sometimes with Martin.
Did Martin and Kenneth know each other?
Yeah.
Were there any issues between them?
Judge, once again, I'm gonna object to the leading.
Sustain.
You know what their relationship was like? Martin and Kenneth.
Oh,
Okay, on May 25th of 2019, was Martin present at the Nolan's first month?
Yeah.
Was Kenneth present? at the
Once again, Judge, I'm gonna object to his leading the witness.
Sustain.
Who was present at the No Express Mart on May 25th?
there was Martin at the store, and there was like other 3 or 2 customers.
Okay. And so what do you recall, what was Martin there for, if you remember?
Just like coming to buy stuff from the store.
Okay. At some point, did Kenneth arrive at the store?
Yeah,
What happened once he arrived at the store?
he took Martin outside to talk to him.
What was their conversation like?
They didn't say
Objection,
anything.
Your Honor.
for us.
Excuse me,
They're calling
sir,
it
what,
hearsay.
just 1 second. I know this may be your first time testifying, so whenever you hear an objection, either from the state or the defense, I need you to stop speaking because I need to respond to their objection, okay? All right, what is your objection?
I'm gonna object to, once again, leading, and also if he's gonna answer anything about what they're saying, it's hearsay.
All right, so if this would, sir, you're not allowed to say what someone else told you, you understand? So if this is going to be hearsay, which I don't know because I haven't heard the answer yet, that will be sustained. So if you're asked your question, then let me see what the answer is, please.
What was their conversation like?
They didn't talk in front of me.
Okay.
Just Kenneth asked Martin to come to talk.
That's-
Your Honor.
All right, that'll be sustained.
Judge, he's saying what the defendant said, and so it's not hearsay, it's a statement by party opponent.
I withdraw.
Okay, thank you. You may answer that question.
So what did Kenneth say?
Just ask Martin to come to talk to him outside.
Were you watching when it happened?
Yeah.
Okay. When Martin went outside, what did you see?
And, actually, like Martin punished Kenneth in the face.
Okay. After Martin punched Kenneth in the face, what happened after that?
I went outside like to see what happened. Kenneth got in his car and just drove away.
Okay. He drove away.
Mhm.
Did he end up coming back?
Yeah.
Objection, Judge, this is their witness, and they continue to lead him.
All right, that will be overruled.
He said, yes, he did come back.
Yes.
And at the Nolan Express Mart, is there video at that location?
Yeah.
Do you know how many cameras there are?
Like 7 to 9 cameras. I'm not sure what they have. A lot of cameras.
Do you have access to those cameras?
Yes, sir.
Are those cameras capable of making accurate reporting of the events as they occur?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
When you look at marked as this exhibit 1, Lakewood surveillance video, have you had an opportunity to review these? When you view these, were they fair and accurate depictions of the events that they occurred? Did they appear to be altered in any way?
No.
Your Honor, at this time, we will offer state's exhibit 1 in evidence.
Judge, I'd like to have the witness on board our.
Yes, you may.
Mohammed,
Yes, sir.
do you have a technician that removes the video from those cameras?
It was no, it was
Oh, it's you, okay, and are you an experienced videographer?
no.
Okay, and so basically, when you remove the video, is it altered in any way? In other words, you have to edit it, don't you?
No.
That's the witness.
All right, any objections to state's exhibit number 1? All right, then state's exhibit number 1 is admitted without objection.
Your Honor, may I show it to the jury?
Yes.
So who is this in the white shirt, red shorts?
Kenneth,
And behind him, who's that?
Austin.
Parties approach briefly. Brenda, could you put me on?
What are we seeing in this video?
That's in the white palette was Kenneth, in the front of the palette was Austin, and that was me on that's
And do you know whose vehicle this is?
Austin.
After this happened, you recall what you did next?
And I just went inside of the stuff.
Okay. About how many minutes passed before the next event happened, if anything happened?
10-15 minutes.
Okay. What was the next thing that happened that you remember?
Didn't show up in the store and start shooting
Where were you located at?
behind the helmet
And where was Martin?
in the stuff.
When Kenneth showed up and started shooting, do you remember if he said anything?
No, he didn't say anything.
Once he started shooting, what did you do?
They go on the floor.
What did Martin do?
And then run to the store.
Where was the bathroom in relation to where you were?
On the right lane.
And was there anyone else in the store at that point?
Yeah, there was like 3 customers.
Who is this?
Kenneth.
And is this the same video that we just saw from the closer angle? Where is this camera located at?
At the front door, like at the door, so,
Include this individual in blue tank top.
mark.
And this individual here,
This is, yeah,
and what is he doing at this point?
shooting at Martin.
Again, in blue tank top, who's that?
Martin.
And do you recall who this individual is?
Yeah, he's Mr. Snyder, he's the barber, and next door, there's a barber shop, yeah,
And where were you like located at?
behind the camera.
See right here. Bottom corner. And this camera, where is it located at?
It's on the right of the stuff.
Who's this individual? right
Yes.
here? Where's the bathroom at that Martin rented?
It's, yeah, like, it's on the right side, behind the camera.
Were you aware that, I guess, the shots that were fired by the defendant, are you aware of where they hit at?
Yeah, I felt them flying, like they hit the door.
Okay, you felt them flying by you?
I was,
Muhammad, were you afraid for your life at this point?
of course.
Is the person that we see in the video that you identified as Kenneth, is that the same person that you identified here in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Or at the time we'll pass away?
All right, defense.
Muhammad,
Yes, sir.
in the video, at no time that gun was pointed at you, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The video shows at no time there was a gun pointed, that is correct.
Yes, yes.
All right, and it looks like you basically just go behind the counter at this time. All right, so when I'm looking at the video, it'd be correct to say that no shots were fired directly at you or near you while you were under the counter. They looked like they were to the left of you.
That was like 1 foot away from me.
Well, 1 foot away, I see that how far was the cooler away from the counter?
He was shooting toward
The bathroom door.
And I was,
Hold on, excuse me. All right, so here's the thing. Brenna is an excellent court reporter. I know she can take down 2 people at one time, but it's difficult for everyone to hear if people are talking. So just wait till the question is asked and then answer, and wait till the answer is done, then ask.
All right, Mohammed. How far was the cooler from where you were in the counter, underneath the counter?
It was like, I would say 5 foot.
5 foot, okay. So 5 foot being about to here? Chair to here?
Yes.
And Mr. Garcia allegedly was in the bathroom at the time,
Mhm.
and the shots were directed at the bathroom. Is that correct?
That's
All right. And you were on the far end of the counter, it looked like, away from the bathroom. Is that correct?
Mhm.
You were not privy to any of the conversations between Mr. Martin and Mr. Williams. Is that correct? So you have no idea what was said, was there any threats made or anything like that? When did you first meet Mr. Williams?
like, I would say, when Brittany started working at the store, and I think she started working like a month before this happened.
And how many times was he in the store?
I think I see him twice or once.
So basically, you're saying you may have seen him one time before, but you were absolutely sure that was Mr. Williams in the store.
Well, he used to come and pick her up. So yeah, I was like seeing him a lot, come picking her up.
The video, you were outside there when it looked like Mr. Williams was leaving and Mr. Martin was basically in front of him trying to stop him from leaving. Is that correct? Well, why was he standing in front of the vehicle?
I think he wanted like.
Objection, calls for speculation.
Sustained.
That's the witness.
Right, state.
Brief redirect. Judge. Mohammed, when the shots, when the defendant first fired shots, where were you located at?
Here,
How far were you from the?
less than a foot.
And then as far as where the shots actually, are you aware of where the shots hit?
Yeah.
How close were those shots to where you were standing initially?
Yeah, but less than a foot.
All right, we'll pass it.
What was that word? 10 foot?
No, just 1 foot.
1 foot, this close?
Yeah.
And you actually saw the bullet?
I felt like whenever the bullet was hitting the wall, I felt like whatever was coming out of the wall.
Ask the witness.
No further questions, Judge. May the witness be excused.
Is this witness excused and subject for recall? Mr. Sherrick,
Yes, ma'am.
is he excused?
He's excused.
All right, you're excused. Thank you. State call your next witness.
The state calls Matthew Porter.
All right, can you raise your hand? You solemnly swear from the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, please have a seat, and if you could state your name for the record.
Matthew Porter,
All right, state.
Good afternoon, Sergeant Porter. How are you currently employed?
with the San Antonio Police Department.
And I sort of gave it away. What's your position with SAP?
I'm a sergeant.
What unit are you with?
I work with our fusion unit, which is essentially an intelligence unit,
How long have you been with SAP?
almost 21 years,
How long have you been with the fusion unit?
a little over a year.
Prior to becoming a sergeant, what was your role with SAPD?
I was a detective assigned to the homicide unit. I was there for about 7 years.
As part of the homicide unit, what types of offenses do you handle?
Mostly violent crimes, shooting, stabbings, assaults.
Would an aggravated assault be a type of case that you would handle in the homicide unit?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall if you were ever, if you ever responded to the no and express warrant?
Yes, sir.
What were you responding to?
Shooting.
Whenever you respond to a scene, I guess in an offense happens, is there a case number that's assigned to you?
Yes, sir.
What day did you respond to that no and express warrant?
It was May 25th of 2019.
And the address, what was it?
I'm gonna object to him looking at the report. If he wants to set the proper predicate, I think he has to refresh his memory, but he's sitting there testifying from his report.
All right, that'll be sustained.
Aaron, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Sergeant Porter, when you're assigned a case, do you generate a report for that case?
I do.
Kind of mark this as state's exhibit 2. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Is that a copy of your report for that case?
Yes, sir.
Would having a copy of that report help refresh your memory?
It would.
So if I ever ask a question and you can't remember something exactly, you can take a moment to look at your report, refresh your memory, just make sure you don't read directly from it.
Yes, sir.
And so if you can recall, and if not, you can refresh your memory, what was the address that you responded to?
627 Mountain Brothels.
And what was the case number for this case?
It was 1911059.
When you responded to that scene, do you remember who was at the location still?
Well, I was called by the reporting officer. I heard the call come out. I was monitoring the radio. The officer called to notify me of the shooting. At that point, I went to the scene. The victim was still there, along with some witnesses.
What information did you have going into the scene?
That there was some sort of altercation and a shooting.
Okay. And so when you got to the scene, you said the victim was still there, the responding officers. Do you remember if there were any witnesses there?
There were some witnesses there.
What was your purpose in going to the scene?
We're considered the follow-up unit. So when cases like this happen, we'll go out, we try to talk to the parties involved, and then at that point, we'll start our investigation. So the purpose of going out to the scene is to get the preliminary information and kind of work the case from there.
Do you recall the name of the victim of the offense?
I don't, I'll have to refer to
Yes, sir.
Martin Garcia.
So Martin Garcia was still there when you got there.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a name for a suspect at that time?
I talked to Martin and he was able to provide.
Judge, I'm gonna object to hearsay. And
Sustained.
also confrontation clause, because he's not here.
Sustained.
Without getting into specifically what Martin said, did you have a general idea of who the suspect was?
Yes,
Was there any evidence that you collected or viewed at that time?
yes, there was a cell phone video from the manager, and then there was surveillance video from inside the store.
Were you able to use that video to further investigate who the suspect was?
Yes, in some aspect, the video was able to help me corroborate what I was being told by people at the scene.
Okay. Do you recall what in the video you used in order to research or investigate?
There was a license plate from the vehicle of the person shooting, that license plate number for our research.
Okay. And so based on the license plate number and the investigation, did you come up with an identity for the shooter?
I did.
after you did that, I guess, do you pull up a picture of that person?
Objection, Your Honor, here's, I'm not gonna say leading.
Sustained.
Once you got an identity for the suspect, what do you do next?
At that point, we do, you either do a photo lineup or you can do a single photo identification. Normally, we do photo lineups unless the people know each other. In this case, they knew each other, and so a single photo was done.
And so that was done in this situation.
Yes,
Based on that, did you compare did you do any comparison between?
yeah, you look at what we had. I was able to get a first name of the individual that I was being told responsible for this, based on the video and the picture I saw, and there was some background information that I received that I was able to corroborate. I was confident that we had the right person.
What was the full name of that person?
Kenneth Williams.
As far as your, I guess, investigation, what else did you do other than having him identified?
I walked the warrant for the arrest, and then you go through the process of the investigation, which were crime scene photos, case video.
And based on, I guess, your investigation, the Kenneth Williams that you identified as a suspect in this case, do you see him here in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Can you point him and identify an article photo? What color shirt?
wearing a black shirt.
And let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant. Your Honor, at this time, we'll pass the witness.
Right, defense.
Sergeant Porter,
Yes,
it
sir.
would be correct to say that you never had any contact with Mr. Williams in that day.
That's correct.
So you never saw him, never could have personally identified him.
That is correct.
The only reason you're identifying here today is because he's sitting as the defendant in the case. Is that correct?
Well, I've seen this picture before, but
When you ran the license plate of the vehicle, it just showed the owner of the vehicle, it did not show who was driving. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Now, in your report, the other witnesses, if I'm not mistaken, you can refresh your memory. There were a number of other witnesses there were 3 or 4 witnesses that you interviewed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you interviewed looks like an Edward Salazar.
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, and during the interview, it was determined that Mr. Salazar was not threatened, right?
That is correct.
And also a Santana Vasquez,
Yes, sir.
and the same thing, she was not, or he was not threatened, is that correct?
That is correct.
And with regard to the witness Muhammad, in your report, there's no mention of him being threatened, is that correct?
Correct.
That's the witness.
State.
No further questions, Judge.
All right. Is this witness subject for recall or excuse?
Excused by the defense, Your Honor.
Excuse, Judge.
All right, you may step down. Thank you.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes. All right, everyone, we're gonna take a short break. So if you all can be back here by 10. You've heard some evidence in this case. You're not allowed to talk about it amongst yourself or with anyone. Make sure that if you're walking around, you have those badges on, because sometimes people will talk about cases and they don't know that jurors are around them. So that will identify you as a juror. If anyone tries to talk to you about this case or you see anything anywhere, which I don't expect you to see anything anywhere, but if you do, ignore that, okay? So we'll be back at 10. All right, everyone, please rise. All right, everyone can be seated. Okay, so it's my understanding that there's one witness and you all are calling to see when they will be here today,
Yes, Judge.
but we're thinking maybe 2. All right. And defense, of course, I don't expect you to give any of your strategy away, but are you expecting witnesses?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Patterson, if you can start working on the jury charge. Just give me one moment.
Oh, at home. Well, my dad said for rare, reading his book. But it just doesn't get to my room.
Not everyone is their ditch.
Okay. Oh, I totally get it. Oh, you can put us back on mute then. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna give you an early break today so you can enjoy the 102-degree weather. I think right now it's probably only 90. What we're gonna do, I expect this case to be concluded today as far as testimony. And so you will get a chance to deliberate today, but just not right now. We're gonna come back at 1:30. So that'll give you a chance to enjoy the river walk. A lot of people usually don't see it, right? So you can stroll down there. It'll drop the temperature probably by about 5 degrees. Enjoy some ice cream or some fruit cups, something to keep you hydrated. And we'll be back here at 1:30 p.m. Remember what I said, you've heard some evidence in this case. Don't think about it, don't talk about it, don't start deliberating. I'll let you know when you're allowed to deliberate, okay? All right, so if you all can make sure that you're back in the jury room at 1:30, we'll start at 1:30. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.